We are here to celebrate many good things which took place. The volunteers of the Italian Red Cross are more than 150,000. During the past few years, some of them also very young, have been made ensigns of the Republic of Italy by President Sergio Mattarella. They daily, tirelessly carry out their work, which is, I would say, quite varied. We are now going to describe their activity, always in the front line. And then we have to celebrate someone who has just reached me here in the studio at the last minute, Mr. Rosario Valastro, who was the deputy president but, as from today, is the president of the Italian Red Cross, and this is his first TV interview as president. Thank you for coming, and we wish you all our best. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Above all, good luck for your work. Speaking about work, there are many volunteers of the Italian Red Cross who do not work, but provide their assistance on a voluntary basis.
Yes, they are approximately 160,000.
They're women, men, girls, and boys
Who, without being member of any particular group,
operate within this institution
driven by principles which we consider as essential,
in order to better serve vulnerable individuals.
and they constitute an asset because the history of the Italian Red Cross is the history of hundreds of thousands.
Of millions of volunteers who have been serving their neighbors for more than 150 years. Very few organizations have such an important history in servicing our country.
But each volunteer, I beg your pardon, we are now watching images showing the delivery of goods to some down and outs, including meals, etc. Also in beautiful settings like the Mausoleum of Hadrian. The images, however, showing also the situation in the surroundings. Along the shores of the Tiber River, in Rome, the question is, may each volunteer, including those operating in war areas, carry out any activity, and take part in rescue operations in any context? Or are there specialist areas of activity?
Upon becoming a member of the Italian Red Cross, everyone may specialize according to his or her own penchants and professionalism.
Above all, according to the needs of the territory, as well as national and international needs. By following accurate training programs, any activity may be carried out within the Italian Red Cross.
In the various settings the latter operates in.
Let's now consider which settings we are talking about. I would first like to ask you a simple question as a housewife would do. We have seen frauds, people knocking on our door, but the Italian Red Cross usually takes action on call, doesn't it?
Yes, of course.
However, is there any way to distinguish genuine Italian Red Cross operators from those who are not?
Well, I would suggest to always distrust people showing up at our front door.
Or making phone calls in such sense.
The Italian Red Cross has, throughout the national territory, approximately 700 committees and 1,000 offices.
And in case of any doubt, it is advisable to address oneself directly to any of them, because all fundraising initiatives are certainly and exclusively operated by our committees, or by the National Committee, obviously by means of public call for funds.
Let's now see the healthcare services, which are more relevant to this TV program. We have prepared a summary list showing, I don't know whether exhaustively or not, the involvement and the useful services provided by the Italian Red Cross. Would you like to highlight any of them?
Well, as you stated, healthcare services are somehow our core activity.
Clearly, one of the Italian Red Cross purposes is safeguarding people's health and life. Our activity is characterized by both operational actions, when first aid, life-saving maneuvers and blood donations are needed,
as well as by preventive actions, through training activities in schools.
or anyway, by training people in general, focusing attention on hygiene, first aid,
health-related vulnerabilities.
Such preventive and operational activities characterize our volunteers' daily actions.
So, when a person has a need, he or she may dial phone number 1520, displayed as text overlay and on the screen in our studio. Such phone number gives the users the possibility of asking for assistance.
Exactly. The national phone number 1520 provides a direct connection with the National Response Center. Then, the Response Center takes charge of the person's need, especially people who live alone, those who, during the current period, have shown to be more vulnerable,
or to be in need of psychological support, and causes the local committee of reference to take charge of him or her, so that the supportive action may be performed by the volunteers as needed.
We have received so many requests for grocery shopping, or anything else, even for a small talk.
You also become aware of some stories, very particular stories of people whose life probably gets unnoticed by others. Just like the old homeless man who took advantage of your action, but who has been found to be so much charitable that he even deserved to spend Christmas together with Pope Francis. Let's watch the reportage by Francesca Biolchi.
I was born unfortunate, and as such I have learned to help the others.
And Pope Francis awarded 3 prizes. We may say the Pope made 3 acts of generosity in favor of 3 persons who, in very different contexts, practice charity and devotion to the poorest among the poor. One of these 3 persons is a homeless man.
And I have collected coins to make presents to these poor persons who cannot make ends meet.
What is the first thing you have bought with that money?
Pasta, oil, butter, granite cheese, and things like that.
Pope Francis was so deeply touched that he kissed the homeless man's hand. Instead of having his hand kissed, the Pope kissed the homeless man's hand.
As Italian Red Cross volunteers, we have taken charge of Gian Piero, also known as Hue, so as to satisfy his essential needs. Gian Piero taking care of the others and neglecting his own health. He is a person of an inestimable human value, who pays special attention to children's care, who doesn't want swear words to be spoken in the presence of children, since children are supposed to grow in a sound environment because they are tomorrow's adults.
I only expect respect from people.
Madre Teresa said everybody has Calcutta at home, if so desired. Just open the eyes to realize how much good can be done.
What does devotion to the others mean to you?
It means feeling good, both mentally and psychologically.
Well, a preeminent figure in the history of the Italian Red Cross, and in Pope's life, who, as we have seen, was deeply impressed by this man. But more in detail, the so-called Officine della Salute, the place where Hue was provided with assistance and aided. What are they, more precisely?
The Officine della Salute are the instrument we avail of in various areas of the national territory, through which comprehensive healthcare is provided to people. They are the operational structures of our social front offices,
where our committees receive the requests for help from a social point of view. The requests for help in terms of foodstuffs,
or in terms of job placement, and,
if people need healthcare assistance,
their details are given to the Officine della Salute.
and, thanks to the activities carried out by physicians, nurses, and specialists, their needs may be satisfied.
So, persons just dial 1520
Yes,
and you take care of
exactly.
everything. In fact, I can see there are at least 400 of these social front offices in Italy. But it is not necessary to know where they are located. Just dial this phone number. Your experts also include psychologists, who turned out to be very useful. We talked about this yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday. We talked about the increase in the demand for post-pandemic psychological assistance.
Yes, we may say we started providing psychosocial support upon occurrence of natural disasters,
especially earthquakes, but it has undergone a continuous specialization and is now practiced constantly, especially when taking care of people living alone, having suffered the effects of the pandemic and of the economic and social crisis.
As to the lone people arriving from the sea, because, as we know, also, immigrants are disoriented and confused. How do you help them?
First of all, the Italian Red Cross takes care of their health because health is of essential importance. But, in reality, our action runs deeper because it tends to integrate the individual within the social structure, which is what the management of migration is somehow lacking.
that is to say, being able of actively integrating people within the territory.
So, an action which is more than subsidiary to the action which should be taken by the state and the government.
Yes, we deem that an active involvement of people in our country would help reduce the risk of discrimination.
So, in conclusion, considering that this airtime is devoted to the Italian Red Cross volunteers, how can one become a volunteer of the Italian Red Cross?
Just address yourself to any of the Italian Red Cross committees. As I said, there are approximately 700 committees and 1,000 offices. Or visit www.ci.it, enter the personal data, and await to be contacted back.
What is the meaning of temporaneo d'impresa?
We have various kinds of volunteers, those who decide to become members of the Italian Red Cross and to further support its strategy and to take action to represent the needs of the most vulnerable individuals,
But also those who are asked to take part in some projects only, or those who, within their own company, wish to donate some part of their working time to the Italian Red Cross.
How many names have you got? Rosario Maria Gianluca Valastro, President of the Italian Red Cross. Best wishes. Good luck with your work and our warmest hugs to all the volunteers of the Italian Red Cross.
Thank you.
In the meanwhile, Michele, you are having a gentle conversation with whom?